Rand Water says that the water crisis has now materialized and water storage levels across Gauteng have declined. Rand Water has now called for action to curtail water losses across the province. The water crisis is anticipated to worsen due to heat waves, and municipalities are being urged to reduce the water loss by 33%. But just how serious is this impending water crisis in Gauteng? We have with us from Rand Water, Ms. Makenosi Maroo, and she is here to speak to us about the situation and just take a look from the Rand Water perspective about exactly how this is playing out. Makenosi Maroo is the spokesperson for Rand Water. Ms. Maroo, thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you, Sakina, for having us. Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers.
Let me perhaps put that question directly to you, Ms. Maroo. But before I get to that, let me just locate Rand Water in this crisis. So what does Rand Water do, and what exactly is Rand Water responsible for?
All right. Thank you for the question, Sakina. It's important for us to clarify. Rand Water, we are a bulk water supplier. So we supply municipalities with water in bulk. Municipalities in turn, then they supply residents. So that's where the difference is. People tend to confuse us with municipalities, more especially Joburg Water. We are a bulk water supply. So we purify water, then we supply municipalities.
Which is actually a good distinction to make, because as the bulk water supplier, how serious is this impending water crisis in Gauteng province as far as your part of this is concerned in terms of supplying bulk water to the various municipalities?
The challenge is actually serious. We have noticed that the storage levels throughout the province, they have declined significantly. And we are realizing that with the ongoing heat wave, the situation would get worse. So if we don't take action as Rand Water, we will actually get into a point where we're saying we are struggling with water. Some areas will not have water. I mean, I'm talking about the 3 metropolitan municipalities, your city of Johannesburg, Tshwane, and Ekurhuleni. Those are the 3 municipalities that are consuming a lot of water from Rand Water. They take over 77% of our water.
So what is the state of play right now, Ms. Maroo? Do you, at this point, still have enough water to supply all of the Gauteng municipalities?
Right. Sakina, it's important for us to clarify there is enough water for the province. We have been hearing people talking about day zero. We're not even using those terms in our vocabulary. We do have enough water. The problem is the consumption, high consumption. Let me explain it this way. We buy water from the Department of Water and Sanitation. So we have a license that allows us to abstract a certain amount of water. So at the moment, we are over abstracting. So it means we are actually, the demand is quite high if you have to compare that with the supply. So we are actually trying to alert communities and municipalities to say if we don't do anything about it, we will not be able to prevent the impending disaster or crisis that is looming.
So how exactly does it work, when you talk about this overconsumption? Because when municipalities draw water, how does that allocation work? And how do you actually, as the bulk supplier, go about supplying water to the various municipalities? Is there a formula? Is there an allocation for each specific municipality? And if they do, how is it that they get to go over their prescribed allocation?
Okay, how it works is we have an agreement with each and every municipality. Obviously, we look at the location, how big the demand. We agree at the beginning of the year, we sign a contract. So now we would supply that water. At the moment, we are, as I'm saying, we are over abstracting because municipalities are demanding more water from Rand Water. So we are also now over the limit with the department. So From us abstracting from the Vaal River water system, yes, we are able to abstract, but now we are left with no choice because there is one, we are having physical losses. That could be why we are having a high consumption. We are also having illegal connections. That's where the challenge is.
So these illegal connections, would these be happening in the municipalities themselves and not necessarily from your bulk water supply?
Yes, definitely. They will be coming from municipalities, from rainwater side. Our pipelines, they're quite big. So we'll be able to see if one, there is illegal connection, if there are leaks. And you'll recall, Sakina, about a month ago, we undertook a project where we were actually conducting a thorough maintenance. So from rainwater side, one, we are able to purify water. We are maintaining our infrastructure, but we need help from municipalities, respective municipalities that we are supplying, so that we are able to distribute water to various municipalities.
So let's just clarify for the municipalities in case they still don't get it. As you say, we're not quite at the point where we're talking day zero, but there is a problem. So how soon could the water be depleted if the province's municipalities actually do not urgently deal with the sky-high consumption and, of course, the many leakages in the systems?
All right. Sakina, as rainwater, one, we will not allow our reservoirs to be depleted completely, because if the system collapses, then there will be a challenge with our system, there will be a problem. So what we are going to be introducing in the long run, if municipalities are failing to introduce restrictions, we will bring in restrictions as rainwater to say, now that you have failed as municipalities, we are going to come in and introduce restrictions so that our system does not collapse.
And are you finding that the municipalities are responsive to your warnings about the high rates of water consumption in the province?
At the moment, I would say some of them are not responsive. Sakina, we had meetings with municipalities, we wrote letters. Recently we had the Gauteng water in Bizo, where we were actually alarming and actually warning municipalities to say, if we don't make changes, if we don't come up with a viable solution to address the high consumption, then we are going to have challenges. We don't see any changes. The consumption is still high, and we know that from spring up until end of summer, it's a high season, it's a high peak season for us. So we are realizing that as compared to previous years, the consumption is still going high. Then we are left with no choice but to take further steps to protect the system from a total collapse.
And as you know, at the moment, we are currently coming to the end of a heat wave that we've seen and felt here on the Gauteng Highveld, and there obviously will be more. We're just getting into the warmer months here in South Africa. So besides putting pressure on local water authorities to change their ways, which you say some are not heeding, maybe perhaps before I go to the next part of the question, are you able to tell us which municipalities are not complying? Because if they are not, then maybe we need to speak to the consumers, the people directly, about becoming water wise.
All right. As I indicated, the three metros, that's where we're having a challenge. The reason why we're having a challenge is because the bulk of our water goes to the three metropolitan municipalities. But there are other small municipalities where we are realizing that there are huge physical losses. For example, Emfuleni, we are losing a lot of water through Emfuleni. On top of that, the municipality is not even able to pay rainwater. So we are still supplying them with water. On top of that, we are not even being paid for the service that we are providing. So those are actually, it's a number of challenges that we are facing as an organization. So we're actually making a plea to say, one, we still need to be paid. Two, we need to protect the system from collapsing. Three, we need to educate the public, meaning the residents, in terms of conserving water. But also we are not blaming residents Sakina, I need to clarify that because there have been reports that we are blaming residents. We are saying the consumption is high and it could be attributed to a number of problems. I'm talking about leaks that are not being repaired. I'm talking about failure to enforce bylaws by municipalities. Also, I mentioned illegal connections. So it's a number of issues that are actually really contributing to the high consumption.
And just finally, before we run out of time, the 6-month maintenance shutdown and maintenance project of the Lesotho Highlands Water Project, has that exacerbated the water problems that we are seeing in any way, Ms. Maroo?
Not at all, Sakina. Let me just put Gauteng residents and other residents that we're supplying other provinces that we will not be impacted by the maintenance of the Lesotho Highlands project. If we run out of water from our system where we withdraw water from the valve, we still have the Sterkfontein Dam where we'll be able to get water. So that is not even a problem. That is not even on the card. So we are not even worried about the maintenance. It has to happen so that we are able to draw more water from the Lesotho Highlands project. So that is not a problem at all. The problem is the high consumption. Just to give you figures, Sakina, if we have to compare South Africa with the world average in terms of the consumption, we are using 237 liters per person per day in South Africa. If you compare that with the world is using 173 liters per day per person. So that should tell you how much water that we are consuming.
It is quite significant. And we were saying earlier in response to some of our responses to the question of the day, the fact that South Africans seem to forget that we are a water scarce country. Again, you know, you've tried to impose and just make sure that we understand that particular matter. But as far as the leakages are concerned in the municipalities, do you know what the situation is currently in Gauteng in terms of how much water we are actually losing as a result of leakages in the various municipalities?
Look, we're supplying a number of municipalities. So we looked on average, we're saying we are losing over 40% in Gauteng. So that's a lot of water. It's almost half of what we are purifying. So we purify water, we send it through our pipelines to various municipalities. It does not even reach the residents. So that's just where we're saying it's high consumption. One could say, is it really high consumption or is it just the leaks? We need to really say to municipalities, take care of your infrastructure, ensure that you also inculcate the culture of water conservation to avoid running out of water and to ensure that we save water for the future generation.
Well, Ms. Maroo, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time and the clarity provided on this. And I think it is absolutely shocking that 40% of water is lost through leakages. And if you go through other municipalities across the country, that number is even higher, which is really something that needs to be addressed. Ms. Makenosi Maroo from Rand Water, spokesperson there, speaking to us about the water crisis and talking to us about looking at our water consumption and making sure that we comply as well as the authorities.